All right, hello class. You have made it to our next video, which will be our writing lesson. Today you won't actually be doing any writing. We're just going to read a story together, and this story that we read, we're going to be using it over the next couple of days, so that way we can complete our writing assignments. I really wish my document camera was working because I would have you follow along with me. And we could take notes together based off the story, but you should all have it on your Google Classroom. So if you can open that up and follow along with me, it is under your weekly work packet. You will have this story in there. And if not, you can just listen and follow along. But please make sure you're paying attention because we're going to be using this to help us write later on. So this is called The Story of Medusa. I don't know if any of you have heard of her. Fun fact, there is a ride at Six Flags, if you've been to Six Flags. It's a really scary roller coaster that's called Medusa. So if it's a scary roller coaster and they're naming it after her, she might be kind of scary, huh? If you look at the second page, this is actually a picture of her and what she looks like. And I just want you to take a minute. What do you notice about her? What's up with her hair? Because my hair and your hair doesn't look like that, right? What are these? Snakes, right? Snakes. Ugh, she has snakes for hair. That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, let's go ahead and figure out more about her. So long ago in Greece, there lived a terrible beast called Medusa. She had green skin and sharp teeth and snakes instead of hair. The snakes had sharp teeth too, and they would use them without pity. Medusa was so scary that anyone who dared to look at her turned into stone. So I want to pause really quick. It says the snakes had sharp teeth and they would use them without pity. Without pity, that means the snakes didn't feel bad. If you show pity towards somebody else, that means you feel bad, you feel sorry for them, you're worried about them. So basically these snakes, they don't care. They will chomp through whatever. And it looks like Medusa is so scary that whenever she looks at people, what happens to them? They turn into stone. So this awful monster lived in a cave outside of town. The people of the town grew so afraid of Medusa that they would not leave their homes. Medusa did everything she could to scare them. Nobody could think of a way to stop her. One day, a young hero named Perseus arrived in town. He was surprised to see the people hiding indoors. When he heard about Medusa, he immediately decided to stop the terrible beast. Without wasting a moment, he began plotting his journey. While Perseus prepared for his trip, two gods visited him. The first god, Hermes, gave Perseus special shoes with wings on them. The second god, Athena, gave Perseus a shield, a shiny metal plate that would help keep him safe. Kind of like Captain America, right? Doesn't he have like that cool shield? Perseus thanked the gods for their support. The young hero walked towards Medusa's cave. He found that it was on top of a high mountain. It was too high to climb, so he used the winged shoes to fly up to it. Then he carefully walked into the cave. He called out, "Medusa, you have to stop spreading fear into town." "Never!" shouted Medusa, jumping out of the shadows. So now I'm going to move on to the second page. Perseus recommended that he could not look at Medusa, or else he would turn into stone. He also did not have a sword. How could he fight this monster? He knew she was too strong for him, so he'd have to think of a clever plan to stop her. As Medusa ran toward him, Perseus looked at his shield. It was silver and so shiny that it looked like a mirror. He could see himself in it. This gave him an idea. He held up the shield to the monster. "Look at yourself, Medusa," he said. Medusa saw her own face in the mirror-like shield. So what do you think happened to her? Because remember, if people look at her, what happens to them? They turn into what? Stone, right? So if she looks herself in the eye, what do you think is going to happen to her? She turned into stone. Now the terrible beast was just a stone statue. The brave Perseus has saved all the people from the danger of Medusa. All right. So who's our hero of the story? It's Perseus, right? Okay. So there's two gods that visit him, Hermes and Athena. What does Hermes give him? They go on his feet. The special shoes, right? And what's so special about these shoes? What do they have on them? Wings, yes. Okay, so Hermes gave him the special shoes, but then Athena, the second god, she gave him something else. Remember, I compared it to Captain America. The shield, yeah, the shield. Okay. So Perseus flew to the mountain, but how did he ultimately defeat Medusa? Because he didn't have a sword, he couldn't like chop her up. What did he use? What was the one thing he had in his hand? The shield, right? Okay. And so what was so special about this shield? It was shiny. And so he held up the shield, and so what did Medusa do? Yeah, she looked at herself and she turned into stone. So who was the hero? Perseus. It's a pretty cool story. Okay, so this is where it might get a little confusing for you guys. On this page, there are 3 different writing assignments. We're gonna ignore the first 2. We're gonna come back to them later, so don't worry. But we're gonna start with this one. It's the fun one. It says narrative prompt. I want you guys to say that out loud to yourselves. Don't worry about sounding silly, by the way, because I'm talking to myself. You can talk back to me, okay? So narrative. A narrative is like a story. So basically what I just read you, we're reading Magic Tree House, that's a narrative. Any movie you watch, any cartoon, any comic book, those are all narratives. It's someone telling a story, okay? So you guys, or how many of you have a journal? Do you write in a journal every day? A diary of some sort? That's also a narrative because you're telling a story about your own life, right? So anytime that we're telling a story, we would call that a narrative. So our writing prompt is, suppose Perseus took you with him to Medusa's cave. Ooh. And you watched him defeat her. So you need to write a story that describes the experience in your own words. Oh no, my computer's dying. One second. Oh. I'm telling you guys, technical difficulties. I got plugging my computer. Okay. Now my nose is running. Whew, I'm all over the place today. So you need to write a story that describes the experience in your own words. And you're going to be using details from the story. Excuse me. Oh. Okay. So that's not something that we're going to do today because we read it together. But I want you to start thinking about it because starting tomorrow, we're going to be writing this together. So I want you to put yourself in the story and you're with Perseus, okay? And he's taking you to Medusa's cave and you're going to watch him battle her. So basically like what happened in the story. So for today, instead of writing, I want you to get a blank piece of paper and I want you to draw a picture of it before we even start writing. So I want you to draw you, I want you to draw Perseus, and I want you to draw Medusa all in this cave, okay? And I know you guys are artists, and trust me, I live for this kind of stuff. I miss seeing all your guys' like artwork and pictures. So yeah, I want you to draw a picture of everything you see going on. You could draw what the cave looks like, what you think Perseus looks like. You can make Medusa look mean and scary. You can make yourself look super cool and strong. Draw the shield. Basically, you showing me what happens in the story. And I would like you to, it'd be cool if you could like take a picture of it, or if you could upload it onto Google Classroom somehow. You could text it to me, post it on Class Dojo. Whatever you're comfortable with, but I'd love to see your artwork. And I want you to just kind of start thinking about that for the rest of the day. How you think you would describe that. Like, what if I had never read this story and this actually happened to you in real life? And then, you know, you called me and you're like, hey, Miss Barbone, guess what I did over the weekend? And I'll be like, oh my gosh, Gabby, Braylon, Ishmael, Kevin, what'd you guys do over the weekend? Then Julieta will be like, yeah, Miss Barbone, so guess what? I flew to this cave. And then Kiel will be like, yeah, Miss Barbone, we flew with these shoes that had wings on them. And then Martrell will be like, yeah, Miss Barbone, and I had this shield. It was even better than Captain America's shield. And then Jordan will be like, yeah, and we held up the shield, and then Medusa did this. So I think you guys get the picture. So just start thinking about that. And I will start thinking about it as well, because I'm going to be writing one with you. So that way you guys have an example. But hopefully you enjoyed the story, because we're going to be working with this story a lot the next couple of weeks. So yeah, I look forward to seeing your guys' pictures. Thank you. Love you guys.